Welcome to Wilson Fun Tech. Today we're going to Wilson Farms in central Illinois to learn about the corn harvest. John Deere 4440, perhaps one of the most iconic tractors in John Deere's long history. Pretty much every farmer since the 1980s has had one of these. They're super reliable and useful, and here we're using one with a front end loader attachment to clean up from a derecho windstorm that hit us during the summertime. Due to their reliability and how awesome they are, these tractors are selling for the same price that they sold for 40 years ago when they were brand new. John Deere S760 Combine Harvester. It's called a combine because it combines 4 processes into one machine: reaping, threshing, gathering, and winnowing. And you can use it for multiple crops: corn, soybeans, wheat, and other grain crops, and all for the price of a Lambo. But this is way more fun than a Lambo. Just watch as this beast of a machine rips through the corn stalks and ideally feeds the ears of corn into the mouth where they can get threshed. Imagine what it's like to get pushed through the belly of this beast. Back in the old days, they had to do all of this by hand. If you've ever tried to shell a dried ear of corn, then you have an idea how long that would take to do an entire field. Once the combine gets full of grain, it has to be emptied out into a grain cart or a truck. This combine can hold about 300 bushels. A bushel is about 56 pounds, so that's 16,800 pounds of grain. We like to call this little trick unload on the go. The goal is to keep the combine working in the field while it unloads the grain in order to maximize efficiency. The tricky part is matching the speed of the combine with the speed of the tractor and the auger wagon so you don't spill any grain. Once the auger wagon is full, it's time to load the grain onto trucks so it can be hauled to a long-term storage facility or taken to the market and sold. Normally it's better to run 2 trucks, but today one of our trucks is in the shop, so we'll have to make do with just one. One of these trucks can hold over 1,000 bushels of corn. On an 80-acre field like this that averages 250 bushels per acre, that's around 20,000 bushels of corn or 20 truckloads from this one field. And at a market price of $5 per bushel, that's around $100,000 of revenue from this one field. Of course, there are many costs associated with farming, so it isn't exactly easy to make a profit even though you have a lot of revenue. A large portion of the cost of farming is all the fuel it takes to run your machines and trucks. An average farmer will use thousands of gallons of fuel every year. Most modern farmers build storage facilities for their grain. These grain bins make the harvest process more efficient and allow farmers to hold the grain throughout the year so they can sell at the best market price. Once the corn's been hauled to the storage site, it gets dumped into an auger. An auger is a special piece of machinery that turns rotational motion into linear motion.
I don't even know what an auger is.
No woman would ever want a man who doesn't know what an auger is.
The PTO shaft on the tractor spins the auger and it carries the grain from the truck up to the bin. This first bin is just a temporary holding spot for the fresh grain that's coming from the field. Since the newly harvested corn has a high moisture content, you can't simply just store it in the bin long term or it will spoil. These electric motors get a signal from the grain dryer. They automatically turn on when the dryer needs more grain. A grain dryer works by burning propane gas and using a huge fan to blow hot air over the corn. It's basically like a big hair dryer for corn. Typically corn, freshly harvested from the field, is around 18 to 25% moisture, and it needs to be around 15% or less in order to store long term. Finally, the dry corn is put into a long-term storage bin. It can only be held for around 1 to 2 years before it starts to spoil. So usually during the winter, the farmers will haul the grain to the market to sell it. Earlier in the summer, the cows had baby calves. Do you notice something about the color of the cows and where they're sitting? John Deere 2840, this is another real classic. A great utility tractor for mowing, running augers, digging holes, or moving equipment around. This old Massey Ferguson 50 is a true classic, but it hasn't been started for years. I don't think I'm going to get this one started. This was one of my Grandpa Derry's favorite tractors, and he used it for just about everything under the sun. John Deere 9470R. This is the big boy. It's got 470 horsepower, an 18-speed power shift transmission. We use this to plow through the field and rip up the corn stalks. farmers are all high-tech these days. If you look on top of the cab, there's a GPS unit. You can set waypoints across the field and the tractor will drive in a straight line, all by itself. This comes in handy when you're trying to fly a drone while driving a tractor. You know you're in the country when the stop signs are full of bullet holes. Well, either the country or Southside Chicago. This little John Deere 7210 is almost like a continuation of that old 2840. Great little utility tractor. This planting tractor is not getting much love during harvest season, but at 31 miles per hour top speed, it's the fastest tractor in the fleet. This little Honda Pioneer side-by-side is super useful. It's great for buzzing around the fields, picking stuff up, and it even has a dump bed in the back.
This tells you how full you are, how full the hopper is. This gives you the moisture. This gives you the yield.
So what does that joystick do?
This is what controls your forward, reverse. It's got height header controls. It puts the header down to the right height. It also has this button is what turns the auger on when you're unloading into the wagon or the truck. There's tilt. If you look at this over here, you can see this here shows you the tilt of the head. If you're going over uneven ground, you know it might need to tilt to the left or tilt to the right. It'll do that automatically. There's sensors that do that, but you can also control it right here. This gives you information about your fuel, depth fluid, the temperature of the engine, make sure things are going okay. This gives you the RPM and your miles per hour, your speed forward, which we're going pretty slow right now, but we're in the area where there's some debris.
Thanks for watching Wilson Fun Tech. Let me know if you have any more video ideas we can do on the farm. Maybe we can use the farm machines for something other than farming. Or maybe we can just race the tractors. I'm sure my dad won't mind.